The Kidney Factory. A man wakes up on a metal cot. His mouth is dry. His side burns. He touches the bandage under his ribs, and he doesn't understand why it's there. He was told he'd be laying bricks today. Instead, he's in a room with 3 other men, all bandaged the same way. All silent. None of them remember the surgery. All of them are missing a kidney. This is Gurgaon, India. The year is 2008. And this man is not the first laborer to wake up like this. Investigators will eventually place the number near 500, spanning nearly a decade. And by the end of this story, one question will define the entire case. How does an operation this large hide in plain sight for that long? Zoom out. The World Health Organization estimates that roughly 10,000 illegal organ transplants happen globally every year, 1 every hour. The math behind that number is brutal and simple. In 2008, an estimated 2 million people worldwide are waiting for a kidney. Legal donor supply meets a fraction of that demand. Where legal supply fails, a black market fills the gap, and it fills it with the bodies of people who have the least power to refuse. Rewind further. The man at the center of this case calls himself Dr. Amit Kumar. He is not technically a licensed transplant surgeon. His credentials are murky, patched together, never fully verified by the clinics that employ him. By the early 2000s, he is running what investigators will later describe as an assembly line. He recruits laborers from slums and construction sites around Delhi and Gurgaon. The pitch varies. Sometimes it's a job. Sometimes it's a loan they can't refuse. Sometimes it's cash, roughly $1,000 to $2,500, for something described only as a small operation. The clients on the other end are wealthy, Indian nationals, and patients flown in from the US, the UK, Canada, Greece, Saudi Arabia. Some pay upward of $50,000 for a kidney. The math is the whole crime. The donor gets a fraction of a percent of what the buyer pays, and the man in the middle takes the rest. January 2008. A laborer named Shakil Ansari walks into a Gurgaon police station and says he was drugged and cut open against his will. Police are skeptical at first. Organ theft claims are not new, and most turn out to be exaggerated or false. But officers visit the address he gives them, a rented house in Gurgaon's Sector 39, and what they find changes the case immediately. A fully equipped operating theater, sedatives, surgical tools, and blood-stained gauze. Not a clinic. A house. Within days, police raid multiple properties linked to the operation. They find 5 foreign nationals recovering from transplant surgery inside one house. Patients from Greece and Canada among them, still bandaged, still on site, waiting to fly home with a new kidney. Investigators also recover a client list, names, countries, payment records. Kumar is not there. By the time police move, he has already left the country. Interpol issues a red corner notice. For nearly a month, Kumar is a fugitive, moving through Nepal under a false identity. Nepalese police arrest him on February 7, 2008, near a resort north of Kathmandu, reportedly attempting to flee toward the Chinese border. He is extradited back to India to face charges. What investigators piece together over the following months is not one crime. It's an industry with roles. Recruiters who find donors in slums and labor camps, middlemen who handle payment and paperwork, at least one other doctor, and several nurses who staff the actual procedures. A private ambulance service used to move patients between houses functioning as unofficial wards. The operation runs across at least 5 rented properties in Gurgaon alone, each one designed to look from the outside like nothing. By March 2008, the scale becomes clearer. Police estimate the ring performed somewhere between 400 and 500 illegal kidney transplants over roughly 9 years. That's the number. Nearly 1 operation every week, for the better part of a decade, inside residential neighborhoods, undetected. The system that let this happen isn't a single failure, it's several small ones stacking up. India's Transplantation of Human Organs Act, passed in 1994, technically bans commercial organ trading, but it allows donation between near relatives, and enforcement of that clause is thin. Kumar's clinics routinely falsify paperwork, listing donors as cousins, siblings, or spouses of the recipients. Relationships invented on paper, never checked against real records. Hospital licensing boards rarely cross-verify these claims. Local police, before Ansari's complaint, have no reason to look inside rented houses with curtained windows. And the donors themselves, mostly day laborers earning less than $2 a day, are unlikely to report a crime committed against their own body when the alternative is unemployment, debt, or worse. The human cost isn't abstract. Many donors describe being told the surgery is minor: an appendix, a hernia, sometimes nothing specific at all. Recovery is often left to chance. No follow-up care, no monitoring for infection, no explanation of long-term risk. Some donors develop chronic pain or kidney complications years later, with no financial recourse and no paper trail proving what was done to them, because the paperwork was falsified from the start. One laborer later tells investigators he was promised 300,000 rupees, around $6,000, and received less than half. Several report threats when they ask for the rest. The families of donors are rarely part of the public narrative. Wives who don't know why their husbands came home with a scar and less strength for manual labor. Children whose fathers can no longer carry the same loads at construction sites, in a country where a laborer's income depends entirely on his body's output. The economic damage of the surgery frequently outlasts the payment meant to offset it. By late 2008, Kumar faces charges under India's organ transplant law, alongside attempted murder and criminal conspiracy counts. The case draws international attention. The BBC, CNN, and Indian outlets cover it as one of the largest organ trafficking rings ever uncovered. But the legal aftermath is slower, and smaller than the crime itself. Several lower-level associates receive short sentences. Kumar's own trial stretches out for years, complicated by multiple jurisdictions and appeals. In 2013, a court in Haryana sentences him to 7 years, a number that strikes many observers, including transplant ethicists, as strikingly light against the scale of what investigators documented. India amends its organ transplant law in 2011, tightening verification requirements for near-relative donations and creating stronger penalties for trafficking. The Declaration of Istanbul, an international ethics framework against organ trafficking, gains more global signatories in the years following the case, explicitly citing incidents like this one as justification. The WHO continues publishing global estimates on illegal transplants, estimates that more than a decade later haven't dropped in any way that suggests the underlying economics have changed, because that's the part the reforms don't touch. Tighter paperwork rules can stop one method of falsification. They don't change the fact that a kidney is worth $50,000 to someone dying, and $1,000 to someone desperate enough to sell it. As long as that gap exists, the market exists, whether it's a rented house in Gurgaon or a hospital in another country with looser oversight. So the case closes, Kumar serves his sentence. The houses in Sector 39 are cleared out. The story becomes a headline, then a case study, then a footnote in policy papers about global organ shortages. But the 2 million people still waiting for a kidney don't disappear when the trial ends. Neither does the laborer standing outside a construction site, wondering if this is the year someone offers him money for something he didn't know he could sell.